Amen. Let's give him a hand, church. Amen. Amen. Know why y'all laughing at me. Amen. Amen. Has the Lord been good to your church? Y'all ain't talking like it. Has the Lord really been so enough good to you? I mean, are you excited that he woke you up this morning and started you on your way, clothed you in your right mind? And some of us should be crazy by now, but God has kept us. I say he kept us. I say he brought us. I say he's delivered us. I say that God has been the best, the bridge over troubled waters. He's made a way out of no way. Anybody know what I'm talking about? He's been your only good news in a week full of bad news. I'd say the alarm clock didn't do it this morning, but God's mercy did it. Y'all ain't talking back to me this morning. God is good. And not just good some of the time, but God is good. Amen. I couldn't help but to concur this morning. Amen. And y'all pray with me as I get ready to preach. My sinuses are bothering me like you would not believe, but when I'm at my worst, God is still at his best. Matter of fact, I'm going to get my towel back, but I just trust that God is always prepared to give me whatever I need. Amen. If you're standing, or while you're standing, or while you're making your way to stand, if you would meet me, I'm sure all of y'all been on Facebook and Instagram. You know where I'm going. Mark chapter 6. Mark chapter 6 and verse number 21 is where we shall begin this morning. I'm going to read just a few verses, give you a nice synopsis and a summary, and then I'm going to preach. Amen. See some visitors here this morning. I think such a salacious sermon title has drew some people here. I got phone calls this week. They said, "What are you preaching about?" I said, "It'll come and you'll see." Amen. You have Mark chapter 6, verse number 21. Say amen. Amen. I'm sorry, my study notes are all in my way. The Bible says in verse number 21, "Then an opportune day came when Herod on his birthday gave a feast for his nobles, the high officers and the chief men of Galilee rather. And when Herodias' daughter herself came in and danced and pleased Herod and those who sat with him, the king said to the girl, 'Ask me whatever you want, and I will give it to you.' He also swore to her, 'Whatever you ask me, I will give you up to half my kingdom.' So she went out and said to her mother, 'What shall I ask?' And she said, 'The head of John the Baptist.' Immediately she came in with haste to the king and asked, saying, 'I want you to give me at once, immediately, the head of John the Baptist, and I want it on a platter.' And the king was exceedingly sorry, yet because of the oath and because of those who sat with him, he did not want to refuse her. Immediately the king sent an executioner and commanded his head to be brought. And he went and beheaded him in prison, brought his head on a platter, and gave it to the girl. And the girl gave it to her mother." Is that in your Bible? Y'all know the title. For the next few moments, I want to preach from the subject, "She Loved to Twerk." You may be seated in she loved to twerk. Preachers have been calling me ever since it went viral. Church of Christ viral, that is. That means it was shared 8 times. We call that Church of Christ viral. We say that when singing groups go platinum in the Church of Christ, they sold 100 CDs. And that's Church of Christ Platinum. But it was shared about 8 times, and that's Church of Christ viral, and everybody from around the brotherhood started texting and calling, and that short preacher named David Watkins called me yesterday and said, man, everybody's talking about your sermon title. What could you be talking about with She Loved to Twerk? Some other preachers call and say, I'm going to watch it live and then I'm going to preach it next week. I say, God bless you. I don't blame you. But this is just a part of several series that I plan to bring to you. After this, in about a month from now, I'm going to do a series called Hip Hop and the Bible. And I want to explore from a theological and from an intellectual standpoint, hip hop's view of the Bible. And then I'm going to give you God's view of what hip hop's view should be. Y'all with me? Yeah. But in this particular pericope, it caught my attention, and some of you know why. I shared with you several weeks back in that sermon series I did on the invisible institution that I was going to preach a sermon called She Loved to Twerk. Well, many of you know that I work for Ad Hoc Group Against Crime as their Director of Crisis Intervention, and in that capacity, I do a lot of vigils. On 2 occasions, and one in particular, I had the opportunity to do a vigil for a young teenage woman. By all accounts, she should have been getting ready to graduate high school instead of us circling up to release balloons in her honor. As we drew down the vigil, we stood in a circle and I handed the mic to her mother. And I said to her mother, is there anything you'd like to say in closing about your baby? Mother tilted her head back and she closed her eyes and a smile crept across her face. She said, y'all remember my baby? She loved to twerk. Immediately my system was shocked that that would be the parting words to remember your now deceased child. It was not remember her, she loved to do ballet. It was not remember her, she was the greatest tap dancer that we could ever hope for. Was not remember her because she had dreams of attending Juilliard. It was not remember her because she maybe one day would perform in the Alvin Ailey Dance Company. It was remember her, she loved to twerk. And I thought to myself, when did twerking become so important in our community? And where did the phenomenon come from that now everybody wants to twerk? I was watching Family Feud one night, and one of the questions that was asked on Family Feud was to name several twerkers. And people began to give off names that shocked me, that I never imagined would have been associated with twerking. One was Miley Cyrus. I thought you had to be well blessed to be considered a twerker. Somebody else called the name of Shania Twain, and I was even more confused. Where did this phenomenon of twerking come from that our community is so gripped by the fascination and the ideology of twerking that you can be remembered for a life lived summed up in twerking? Wow. As I sat back in my chair and I pondered this very phrase, where did it come from? Popular songs came to mind. My mind drifted back to the year 2000. A rap duo by the name of the Yin Yang Twins took a popular song from Snow White that was called Whistle While You Work. Changed the lyrics to Whistle While You Twerk. I thought to myself, is this where it came from? Is this when the phenomenon of twerking, of popping your behind, is this when it began to grip our community? But then my mind traveled back just 2 more years to 1998, and I ran across Cash Money Records. And right now, somebody's quoting in their head, "Do it one time for the 99." And the what? Rapper by the name of Juvenile encouraged every woman to back that thing up. As a matter of fact, he said, use a big fine woman, bag that thing up. I remember as a kid, I rode with my friend Tisha, and her mama loved bag that thing up. We would climb into her 1984 Oldsmobile Cutlass. Her mama had a gold tooth and smoked cigarettes. Had a hand, a finger wave, and every time we got in, she turned that Cash Money up, and we would all do it one time for the 99. I said, is this where it came from? My mind drifted further just a little bit more, and I stopped by 1992. I picked up a man by the name of Sir Mix-a-Lot. And I heard Sir Mix-a-Lot say that babies got back. Y'all ain't talking back to me this morning. Sir Mix-a-Lot said he liked big butts and he cannot. You other brothers cannot. When I see an itty bitty waist and a round thing in your face. Instant shame began to creep upon me as I realized I was yet still in my own generation. I said, is this where twerking came from? But then my mind went back one more place. I stopped by the year 1975 into the concert or the studio hall of KC and the Sunshine Band, in which they unashamedly told all of us, shake your booty. Then I felt better because it wasn't just my generation. Apparently the idea of shaking your behind has been a staple within our community as long as we can remember or recall. As I thought about the words of that young woman's mother, I began to think to myself, is this where it came from? And then finally, as I opened my Bible, I realized that the idea of twerking did not originate with the Yin Yang twins, nor was Juvenile the founder. Sir Mix-a-Lot, although he was in 92, he didn't create it. Even KC and the Sunshine Band was not responsible for the creation of the ideology of twerking. It came long before them in AD 30 at the birthday party of a tetrarch, a ruler, a governor of Galilee by the name of King Herod. In our text today, King Herod has had some run-ins with a prophet by the name of John the Baptist. John the Baptist has denounced King Herod for wanting to marry a woman who he should not or could not, from a Jewish perspective, legally marry. King Herod, being drunk with power, seized John the Baptist and put him in prison, but was afraid to condemn him to death because all of the people considered John to be a prophet. Verse number 21 says, an opportunity came on the morning or the day of King Herod's birthday King Herod was throwing a feast in which he had invited all of the unique and special and rule and powerful men of Galilee to his home. This was a stag party. That means that no women were allowed in this particular feast. But somehow or another, a young girl by the name of Herodias' daughter had found her way into the party, and she was the only woman. The text says that she came in and she gave King Herod a little dance. The text says that after King Herod saw her dance and do her thing, after she whistled while she twerked, after she did it one time for AD 99, after she showed King Herod that she had back, and after she shook her booty, King Herod said, I will give you whatever you ask for. The young woman didn't even know what to ask for, so instead she ran to her mother and said to her mama, what should I ask for? And her mother said, ask him for John the Baptist's head on a platter. She ran back in, and the Bible says, at once she asked for it. And King Herod was sorrowful because although he had put John in prison, he liked John and didn't want harm to come to John. But because he had given her an oath that said, if you, whatever you ask me for, I'll do it, he was left with no choice but to have John beheaded, put on a platter, and brought to the young woman, and she took it and showed it to her mother. Amen. As I looked at this, I said, she loved to twerk. I'm dragging this out because I know y'all want to know where I'm going with this. Now look at the text. Y'all mind if we parse this pericope real quick? I'm going to give you this pericope, and then we're going to preach this a little bit, and then we're going to go. Y'all look at the text. The text says the day came, King Herod's birthday came, and he was having this feast, y'all. And nobody, it was him and all his rulers and all the high officers and the chief men of Galilee coming to show their appreciation for King Herod. Now, King Herod wasn't actually a king. He was a tetrarch. A tetrarch means that he ruled one part of 4 provinces of Galilee. He wanted to be officially recognized as king. He needed Rome to restore his kingdomship. So Herod decided to call everybody in, and he wanted everybody to see that he still had the Jews. While at the party, a young woman comes in. And as a matter of fact, the text says that she came in and she danced. Now here's my issue with her. My issue is ain't no more women at the party. Are y'all with me? Oh, y'all about to make me run already. The text don't even say he asked her to dance. Oh, y'all got to see this, man. I checked Matthew's gospel, and Matthew's account don't say she was asked to dance either. So obviously, she took it upon herself to say, I'm going to show King Herod what I'm working with. She comes in, y'all, and she danced for him, and the text says that he was pleased. Oh, y'all got to see this. Are y'all with me? Now, this word please in the Greek, aresko, means that King Herod got excited emotionally. Well, y'all ought to see where I'm going with this thing. Now, what kind of emotion do you think rose up? Y'all coming. Y'all acting like y'all don't know what I'm talking about. See, King Herod been drinking. Wine is flowing. They done turned the upper room into a strip club. Y'all ain't talking back to me. And the young girl comes in and does a little dance. And the text says that King Herod was pleased. He was emotionally excited. Now, this term for girl, y'all come here. I'm getting ready to preach. This term for girl in the Greek is the same term that Jesus uses to describe Jairus' daughter. Are y'all with me? Jairus' daughter, when Jesus raised her from the dead and healed her, she was 12 years old. So more than likely, the daughter of Herodias, when she came to dance for Herod, was a teenager in a room dancing for grown men. Y'all seeing this? Y'all ought to see this. So much so, and the girl danced so well that the king was pleased. Imagine this, a young teenage girl dancing for the king and all his homies, and everybody getting excited and happy, and the king is pleased. Y'all ought to see Players Club in this day right now. Y'all see it in your mind? Don't see the movie in your mind, just think Players Club. And he turned to the girl and he said, ask me, woo, my goodness, for whatever you want, and I'll give it to you. Here's my issue with this. Number one, my issue with this is already what you see is a young girl being taught that if she uses her body, she can get whatever she wants. Y'all ain't talking back to me. Huh? She's being taught that if she does a little dance for the high men in authority, that she can get what she wants. And so he says, after the dance, ask me for whatever you want. Telling this young girl that I give you whatever you want because you pleased me in a manner that was inappropriate for her to be doing in the first place. Y'all ain't talking back to me. So as I see all these young girls unashamed to twerk and shake their behind them, looking for something from somebody else to validate that you all right, but you not. Y'all ain't talking back to me this morning. Somebody should have said, get your little young self out of here, girl. We grown men up in here. Y'all ain't talking back to me. Y'all ain't talking back to me. She's taught that if you please a man, then you can get what you want. And unfortunately, in our community, we're still teaching women that to get ahead in life, you gotta please some man. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. She's being taught to get ahead in life. Those in authority need to be able to see what you can do. I thank God for the women who can say that I don't need no man to give me nothing. I don't need no man to try to use me. I don't need you to get me ahead in life. God gave me a mind and not just a behind. Y'all ain't talking back to me. And that's the issue now. Even for my single young women, you can't even go on a date and have that Negro spend some money on you without wanting something in return. Y'all ain't talking back to me. You've been taught to get something, you gotta give something. But I thank God for the women that say, I ain't giving you nothing, and you gon' treat me the way you supposed. Y'all ain't talking back to me. I'm not a vending machine. You don't put money in me, and the draws drop out. Y'all ain't talking back to me. Somebody should have told her, get your behind out of here. We grown men. Sit your fast self down. Back in my day, because y'all know I was raised by old women. Well, my grandma something taught her some girl, she felt like she was too grown. She come up and said, get your fast self away from this front porch. Oh my goodness, y'all. And I ended up, when my grandma would say that, I said, what's this fast thing? Then whenever I heard her call somebody fast, I got to wonder, where's she at? Who fast? Because obviously being fast was something she wasn't supposed to be, and I was looking for something she wasn't supposed to. Y'all ain't talking back to me. So he said, he's asked me for whatever you want. Here's my issue with this text, and my issue with her. He said, ask me for whatever you want. And so she runs out of the room, go tells her mama, and says, the king said that I can ask for whatever I want. Why my issue with this is, she knew how to dance, but didn't know what she wanted in life. Did y'all catch that? Did y'all catch that? Did y'all catch that? She knew how to please a man, but didn't know how to please herself. She knew how to make men happy. She knew how to satisfy men, but didn't know what it took to satisfy herself. Because all of her life, she's been taught that that she got to wait on some man to do something for her. Somebody should have taught her to work on her mind and forget her behind. Y'all ain't talking back to me here. And nowadays we live in an age where everybody wants to be an Instagram model. Everybody don't want no job, don't want to work, but just want to show they behind all over Instagram and Facebook and everywhere else because you want to do it for likes. You looking to please somebody so that you feel validated, but you don't know what you want in life. Put some clothes on, enroll in somebody's school, and maybe you'll find a man who's decent and worth it, because any man who got some sense about him don't want nobody that everybody can see what she got. He can't take that home to his mama. He can't build an empire on somebody who don't mind shaking that thing for any and everybody. How he gonna do something in life? He needs you to hold it down, not take it down. Y'all ain't talking back to me. Y'all ain't talking back to me. You ask any man who bought some business, ask him why he married his wife. She may not even be the finest thing he's ever seen. She may not even be the one he had the most fun with. She may not even be the one that turned him on the best. But a real man, once he grows up, he understands that all of that is fleeting for the time. But I need somebody who can hold it down for me. Somebody got a mind on their shoulders. Once we get out of the bed, I need somebody who can make some money. Y'all ain't talking back to me. Somebody can raise my kids. Somebody know how to keep a house. Somebody know how to keep it clean. Somebody who knows what I need, what it takes for me to operate. Y'all gonna make me shout up in this thing. That's why when I go around and women get to throwing themselves at me, you can keep it. Because one thing you ain't gonna get is half my kingdom. For every brother out here who've been married a long time, and you looking at these young women, remember, she ain't worth half your kingdom. Oh my goodness, y'all. Hear crazy stuff. Old men, old fools talking crazy. Talking about women. Man, when I get out this thing, I'm gonna go get me an 18-year-old. For what? What y'all gonna talk about? And they say, well, that's the point. And the problem is, women, that oftentimes men are looking to control you. So they go get you, some old joker go get with a young girl and he can flash a couple $100 in. And then she thinks she got something because she got a couple $100. So is that all it takes? Ooh, my goodness. Now watch this thing. He told her, I give you what you asked for, and she didn't even know what she wanted out of life. She spent all her time learning to dance that she never thought about her future. Oh my goodness. On top of that, he offered her half the kingdom. Ooh, wait. That shows you he was a fool, don't it? He offered her power. He offered her the ability to never answer to another man. This is a patriarchal society. He offered her the ability to rule over people, the ability to tax the subjects and citizens and make her own money, not have to dance for another man again. But she didn't think about that. Her thought process was solely in the moment, that all she wanted to do was dance. And here's the thing about it, y'all come in. Here's the crazy part. She didn't have no answer because she didn't anticipate him asking. Right. That means she came in to dance expecting nothing in return. Y'all ain't talking back to me. And when I think about these dating apps like Tinder, y'all ain't talking back to me. Y'all know what Tinder is, no app. When you get on there, you find you somebody to sleep with for the night. Raise it, swipe left or swipe right. He's smart to not say a word. Even if you know the answer, ain't never used it, don't say a word. But I think about that, so many women give themselves, oh my goodness, not even expecting Y'all ain't talking back to me. Anything in return. Y'all seeing this? If he doesn't sacrifice for you, he can't love you. Y'all ain't talking back to me. If he don't get up and go to work for you, he can't love you. He don't even love himself. Y'all come here, come here. So watch this shit. Watch this shit. Here's my issue with the mom. Goes to the mom and says, let me tell you what the king has said to me. The king said, I can have anything I want up to half his kingdom. And what should I ask for? And her mama said, ask for the head of John the Baptist. Now, oftentimes the most powerful preaching is in the middle. It's in between what is not seen. Now, if she had to go run to her mama and tell her, it implies her mama wasn't in the room. Y'all gotta see this. Which also means you don't read what her mama asked her any questions. Oh my goodness. Jewish mothers and even most Gentile mothers would not allow their daughters to dance in a room full of grown men. It was out of protocol. But the mama didn't stop to think and ask the girl, what were you doing in the room? Y'all ain't talking back to me. What were you doing in a position to be given such an option? Y'all ain't talking back to me. Mama didn't ask, how did you get in a room and into a party that I wasn't even invited to? Who let you in the room? Y'all gotta see this. Y'all gotta see this. What kind of mother doesn't ask her daughter, her teenager daughter, why a grown man is offering you half his kingdom? Oh my goodness, I hope I'm blessing somebody in this thing. I hope I am. I hope there's a father in here that's got a daughter, a teenage daughter, and he knows that he needs to teach her that men who are twice your age aren't offering you anything without expecting something in return. Mama didn't even ask, what were you doing in that room? You know why she didn't ask? Because mama was scandalous. Come on. Oh, y'all. Y'all ready for this one? Y'all ready for this one? See, mama. Ooh, that's a scandal, y'all. That's a scandal. I mean, Mama was trying to marry Herod. There you go. And remember, John the Baptist said, you can't marry Herod. Y'all know why she couldn't marry Herod? Because Herod is her brother-in-law. Oh, y'all see the scandal, don't you? Herod is the brother to Philip. She's married, or was married, to Philip. Decided to do away with Philip. She, as a matter of fact, history tells us, initiated the divorce. And then decided to get with his brother. Y'all, and Herod's so scandalous that he didn't see an issue with getting his brother's wife. Y'all ain't talking back to me. So of course she didn't ask, what were you doing in that man's chamber? She didn't ask, what were you doing dancing for that grown man? All she saw was an opportunity to further her scandalous agenda. Y'all ain't talking back to me. I realized that Juvenile was right the whole time when he said she did it from her mama. Y'all ain't talking back to me. Y'all ain't talking back to me. Y'all ain't talking back to me, because see, the issue is, as I'm standing at some of these vigils and I'm hearing mothers say this kind of stuff, I then realize in that moment why I'm standing at a vigil. Y'all ain't talking back to me. Because if you can be the mama and say she loved to twerk, that means you yourself didn't see no issue with her twerking. You yourself sat back and watched her twerk and thought it was cute. Y'all ain't talking back to me. And now her twerking turned into something else. And now we had a vigil for her twerking Y'all ain't talking back to me. I done got to the point where I stopped blaming the children because she was only a teenage girl. Everything she knows, her mama would have taught her. As you look at these young women, it ain't their fault. They got it from the scandalous women. That right, y'all ain't talking back to me. I thank God for the mothers who would let you out the house dressed a certain kind of way. I thank God for the mothers who got in their daughters' faces and say, you ain't going out of this house looking like that with yourself on display for some man to pick you up. I thank God for the mothers who demonstrated how to carry yourself so that when you grown you get somebody of quality. I thank God for the women who would go toe to toe with their daughters and say, you will respect yourself. Y'all stop blaming these children for the sins of their scandalous parents. And then want to show up and act like you so shocked that they ended up in jail. Y'all ain't talking back to me. But as I thought about this thing, I said, wait a minute. Y'all hit me in the head like a bookshelf of books fell on me. I said, wait a minute. The mama scandalous and wants to marry her brother-in-law. This was his niece. Y'all seen it? Y'all seen it? Y'all see? So you mean to tell me that this dude and all his homies opened the door and let his own niece, oh my gosh, and on top of that they got emotionally excited. Y'all gotta see this. To see his own niece dancing. Oh man, I gotta see this. Not only was she his niece, but about to be his stepdaughter. Oh, y'all gotta see this. She took it upon herself to go dance for Uncle Daddy. Oh, y'all gotta see this, y'all gotta see this, y'all gotta see this, y'all gotta see this now. Can I talk to us real quick? Black women. 60% of black women are sexually assaulted before the age of 18. Y'all ain't talking back to me. 60%. And that's just what's reported. Oh my God. And part of the problem is the men who should be protecting them. Oh my goodness. Yo, I have a teenage niece. I wish she would. Y'all ain't talking back to me. Y'all ain't talking back to me. So if she ever came in a room like that, my belt would come off so fast. I would whoop her all the way back to where she came from and whoop her as she put some clothes on. Y'all ain't talking back to me. But the men who are supposed to protect her, the man who is supposed to make sure that she has dignity, honor, and class is letting her twerk. Y'all ain't talking back to me. And the truth of the matter is that even in predominantly black families, our young black women are often assaulted by relatives. Y'all ain't talking back to me. Who's supposed to be there to fight for you. Everybody talking about surviving R. Kelly, but nobody wants to talk about surviving Uncle Kelly. Nobody wants to talk about surviving Grandpa Kelly. Nobody wants to talk about surviving Big Brother Kelly or Cousin Kelly. We talk about our Kelly. Well, the truth of the matter is our own young girls are often sexually assaulted in our own families. Oh, my goodness, y'all. And are told to keep quiet about it. And then you'll never know until one day it comes out and your mama let it slip or your auntie let it slip that one of your low-down, trifling, dirty uncles done touched them. I'm speaking from experience now. And I can remember just the fire that rose up in me wanting to protect the women of my family. But they were taught to suffer in silence and in secret and not tell what was going on inside the house. Y'all ain't talking back to me. And now you can't have a good relationship, a healthy relationship with a man because Uncle Kelly been touching you on Christmas. Y'all ain't talking back to me. One of the greatest lines to ever illustrate this came from Color Purple. Sophia said, a woman child ain't safe in a house full of men. 60%, now every day coming across my desk, I get some notification. I get some notification of some young girl that's run away. After about a week or two, we discover that maybe she's been sex trafficked. Young black women are sex trafficked so often that it'll make you want to cry. When you see that for our young black women, there is no protection. Of course not. 80% of black children born are born to a single mother. So when there used to be a father who would say, you ain't gonna do that. Y'all ain't talking back to me. When there used to be a father that when the boy came to pick his daughter up, he would load his gun, sit in the living room, and tell the young man, sit on down, let me have a little conversation with you. Now, if you don't have her back at 10 o'clock on the dot, at 10:01, I'm going to come look for you. And it's sad to say that at 30 years old and from high school and everywhere else, that I never had a father sit down and say, bring my daughter back at an acceptable time. Because the mama was working and had to put food on the table, and so she didn't have time to really worry too much about it. And unfortunately, no other uncles came over to say, let me stand in because I know my brother ain't no good. Y'all ain't talking back to me. And I remember watching my own single mother have to try to be a father as well as a mother to my sister, but it ain't the same as when somebody with some bass in their voice. Y'all ain't talking back to me. Stands up as a matter of fact that it is believed that when a young girl has a father in the house, it will even slow down her puberty. Unfortunately, our young black girls in our community are forced to grow up way too fast. They develop at the age of 11, and then they have to contend with grown men looking at them because they've developed too early. Y'all ain't talking back to me in here. And so now we got, by the time you're 18 years old, you got 2 and 3 kids because of the way that our house was set up to where you had too much time to spend by yourself. Y'all ain't talking back to me in here. Now we get to the church, and it's rare to see people get together and have children together. Now by the age of 25, 23, you got to make a determination if you want to be a stepdaddy or not. Y'all ain't talking back to me. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Y'all look at this. Look at the text, y'all. She came in. She said, at once, give me the head of John the Baptist. He was sorrowful. She said, give me head of John the Baptist. The girl doesn't even know what she's asking for because she's been led by her mama. She doesn't know she's asking for him to go and behead a prophet, a man of God. All she knows is her mama told her to do it. Y'all ain't talking back to me. All of the things she's given up to fulfill a request from her mama. Because her mom was trifling. Because her mama want to do what she want to do. Because her mama want to have a life too. Some of y'all catch that. Some of y'all catch that baby boy reference on the way home. Now watch the text. So she goes and asks for them to deliver the head of the man of God. And look at this, y'all. She said, bring it to me on a platter. She said, do it at once. She said, immediately, go get it and bring it back to me. Immediately, just in case you sober up and change your mind. Then she said, bring it to me on a platter, because a platter is more befitting for an occasion such as this. It is a gruesome touch to a grisly request. Bring it to me on a platter. That means that they're going to go behead John the Baptist and put his head on a silver tray or gold tray, a platter befitting royalty, and come and serve her with it. She has no idea what she's asking for. For a man who is recognized by the people and by God as the mouthpiece for God. She's asking for his head. Kill the man of God. Obviously, there is no respect for his position, because there's no respect for God being taught. Y'all ain't talking back to me. Probably ain't never took her to church nowhere. Probably ain't never been to the temple. Probably have never been to the synagogue anywhere. Probably ain't never even sat down for a Bible study. Y'all ain't talking back to me. So you can ask for them to bring the man of God on a platter, because you ain't got no respect for God. Oh my goodness. On a platter. She figures, what I'm asking for is glory. So by asking for a platter, I at least clean it up some. It's a gruesome touch. And what we've been taught, oh my goodness. Are you ready for this? We've been taught that you can be as gruesome as you want to be, as long as it's on the platter. Now they're talking back to me. Let me break that down some more. We've been taught that you can be as trifling, scandalous, dirty, nasty, as long as you're wearing Gucci. Oh, they're talking back to me. As long as you wear Prada, as long as you wear Yves Saint Laurent, as long as you wear Givenchy, you can be as scandalous as you want to be, as long as you have a gruesome touch to it, as long as you got some silver, something worth it, something that you perceive to be valuable on top of it. So that means even if I'm naked with Gucci. Y'all ain't talking back to me. Even if I barely got no clothes on, what little thing I got on is Prada. Y'all ain't talking back to me. It doesn't matter then what you do, as long as the thing you're doing it in is perceived to have some value. Y'all ain't talking back to me. It doesn't matter what the perceived value is if underneath it is death and hell and murder and blood. You can do it as long as it looks good. Ready to go to my seat. Our society has become so materialistic that we do everything we can just to get a name. What are you wearing? What kind of purse is that? What kind of shoes is that? And folk will go spend hundreds and thousands of dollars to make sure the thing perceived is valuable. You can't pay your rent, but you got a bench. And they talking back to me. You can't pay your light bill, but you got $400 hair in your head. Y'all ain't talking back to me. I ain't got a savings account to save your life, but you look rich. Oh my goodness, why I didn't think they were going to be this quiet up in here. Yeah, you ain't got no money, but you look like it. And that's what we have learned to do as a people. We can be as toe up underneath the platter, but as long as the platter is nice, we good to go. Long as it look good. I tell you what, I'd rather look bad and have millions of dollars in the bank than look good and have, y'all ain't talking back to me. Most folk in it don't even have an emergency fund. Couldn't put your hand on $500 if you needed it, $1,000 if you needed it. But I bet you if I start checking your closet, I find thousands of dollars. Y'all ain't talking back to me. And I'm the last one to talk because I know how I dress. But the difference is I make sure my money's straight before my closet's straight. Y'all ain't talking back to him. Is there anybody in here that knows what I'm talking about, that's had to say no to some stuff because you didn't want to break your bank account, who's had to say, I can't get it today, but one day God is going to bless me, but right now I ain't got time to be calling nobody to borrow some money. I'm going to say no to the Rolex. I'm going to say no to the Gucci, no to the Prada, to build my bank account. Come to church and it's $100,000 in the room, but the offering is $1,200. Y'all ain't talking back to me. I ain't got time for this. Y'all, let me run, because I've been offering for 45 minutes. Watch this, y'all. If we get ready to go, let me ready to get you out of here. As I looked at this thing, I said to myself, she's standing there. He comes, he brings her the platter. She's standing there holding the head of John the Baptist, too young and dumb and naive to realize what she's done. Right. She's a teenager, of course. You ever met a smart one? She's holding the platter. And I thought to myself, doesn't it always happen that way? Good men end up hurting because some woman was abused. And he bore the brunt of it. And the difficult thing about this is she doesn't even know she was abused. Did I mess you up on that one? She's holding the head of a man she don't even really know. Holding the head on a platter of a good man. Holding the head of a man of God, a man who would never lift a finger to hurt her, a man who would never let her dance for him as a young teenage girl, holding the head of a man who would lead her in the path of righteousness, a man who would lead her to God. He's on the platter and being buried while the man who abused her is in the palace, and she's all right serving him, but can't serve the man who would have led her to God. Y'all ain't talking back to me. A whole lot of our sisters have been abused and haven't even realized it, been hurt too many times. And when a good brother comes along who don't look like your abuser, you turn him down and make him pay for the stuff that some other Negro did to you. I'll be glad when the day comes when our sisters heal and stop hurting brothers who meant you no harm. And you done got to the point to where you 50 years old or above and you don't want nobody, and now all men are dogs. Not all men, just, I want to say another word so bad, just a Negro that hurt you and got you like this. Oh, it's riding up in me, it's building up in me because I'm tired of sisters hurting and hurting somebody else because they got hurt first. And now he got to take all of your bruises, all of your punishment, until you finally get it through your head that he ain't Uncle Kelly. I'm done. I'm preaching in California. Brother Hill likes me to say me. Now look at this thing. As I close, my mind went to John. John is in prison. John is minding his business. And can you imagine this, y'all? That John is locked up for telling the truth. Locked up for preaching the word of God. Locked up for telling a man it's ungodly to have your brother's wife. It's ungodly to do that. And I can imagine that he looks up. The cave is probably dark. The prison cell is probably dark. Maybe he's just got a fire going. And I can imagine that when he lifts his head, he sees the executioner coming. And thinks, surely, he ain't coming for me. Executioner makes his way down the hall. I can imagine John gets a little uneasy. Probably starts talking to God, but talking to himself kind of. I said, Lord, what is he coming to do with that axe? Every time I see him walk down the hall, somebody doesn't return. Lord, what have I done? Executioner makes his way to John's cell. Opens John's door. Says, come with me. And John is walking the line to his death and doesn't even know why. All because a young girl was young and got manipulated because she loved to twerk. But then I remember something. I bet if John got to the place where you put your hands in the stock and put your head in there as they lashed it down, I could imagine, Brother Hill, that a calm came over John.
Come on now. All right.
Because I bet in that moment, John said to himself, I'm going to be all right.
Yeah.
Because I predicted this would happen.
Yeah.
I bet John heard his own words when he said, I must decrease so that he can increase. I bet it was in that moment that John realized that he was fulfilling destiny. It did not come the way he wanted it to. He probably didn't realize that some young girl would be up dancing in an upper room and that would bring about his death. I could imagine that what he thought was about to happen was that maybe he'd die in prison of an old age. I could imagine that what he thought was about to happen was that maybe the Lord would come get him like he did the Old Testament saints and take him on up to heaven. But I bet he never imagined that he find himself about to be beheaded because a young girl got caught up in dancing nasty for the king. Y'all ain't talking back to me. But at the same time, I bet he said to himself, if this brings about glory for Jesus, if this accomplishes the mission, I said, Lord, use me. And this is how God is using me, even though that I'm losing my head, I'm losing it for the Father. Y'all ain't talking back to me. I thank God for the moments when he uses me after I've asked him to use me. It may not be the way I wanted him to use me, but nevertheless he used me anyway. It's going to be all right because you already promised that I would get back up again someday. Y'all don't hear me. Is there anybody in here who said I may not have wanted it this way? Didn't think I was going to go this way. Didn't think the road would be this rough. But I said, use me, Lord. And however you try or decide to use me, it's going to be all right. Even if it means I have to go this way, I went in service for the Lord. Even if my number is up, even if my name is called, I went in service for the Lord. Is there anybody in here who say, Lord, use me however you need to, and whatever that means, use me, Lord. Even if I don't understand it, use me, Lord. Even even if it hurts me, even if my life isn't comfortable, even if I have to suffer, use me, Lord, because where I'm going, I said where I'm going is greater than staying here. Use me, Lord. I just believe that all things work together. And even though death came to him by twerking, when I asked about that young girl, y'all, go ahead, stand to your feet. At the beginning of my sermon, what happened to her? How did she end up dying in the vigil? What was she doing out here this time of night? The answer was, this is what she came. She would be out here all night twerking. I thought to myself, my God, it was death by twerking. Died lost, confused, distraught. Died thinking she was having a good time. So many of our young people are going to leave that way because they're so interested in having a good time that they never stop to think death is around the corner. Woke up this morning on the way here, got an email from KCPD. 4 teenagers shot in a hotel room on the plaza. On the plaza. Argument broke out inside the room. 4 teenagers. Somebody started shooting inside the hotel room. I could imagine they were at that hotel having a good time. Somebody said, we're going to rent a room and we're going to party. And for some of them, death will show up. And for so many of our young people, death shows up at the party in one way or another. And my hope and my prayer is that they manage to wake up before it's too late. Yes. Can I add one more prayer? Can I pray for the parents? Yes. That they figure out how to be parents? Yes. Y'all ain't talking back to me. Can I pray that for every young mother who finds herself a young mother, that she realizes that she's got to change her ways. That for every young man who finds himself a young father, that he's got to live an example and a legacy. And that he's got to do better. We've got to pray for these young folk. Because they don't realize that as much as they love to have fun, the next moment could be your last. My prayer is that God uses you. However that may come about, but my prayer is that God uses you for his glory, and that the devil doesn't use you to bring about something that's good. Somebody's here today, maybe young, maybe old, but your focus in life has been to have fun instead of on your soul. I got news for you. One day you gonna meet God. And all of the fun wasn't worth it because you were not prepared to meet your Maker. And unfortunately in Kansas City, more 18-year-olds are going to meet the Lord than 80-year-olds. Isn't that crazy? was at a vigil not too long ago, and this grandmother said, I went from being a grandmother back to being a mother because her child lost her life. And it took me a second to catch it. I went from a grandmother back to a mother. And now she's got more kids to raise. Because everybody wants to have fun. And nobody wants to serve God.
Right.
It can change in a moment. Somebody needs to come down here and say, preacher, I've had enough fun. I'm ready for a new kind of fun.
Come on, Doc. Yeah.
In Jesus.
There you go.
The kind of fun that I ain't nowhere where I shouldn't be.
Yeah.
The kind of fun where I'm not looking over my shoulder. The kind of fun where God has a hedge of protection around me.
Yeah.
The kind of fun where God blesses me to make money legally, legitimately. And I don't have to worry about how long this will last. Or that I'm not looking over my shoulder worrying that somebody going to pull me over and find out what I got in the trunk. I have more fun as a Christian now than I ever did before. Somebody needs to come down here and say, I've had enough of that kind of fun. Now I'm ready for some joy. I'm ready for some real joy, some real happiness, some real love, some real peace. And not just the peace I carry with me, but I'm ready for some real peace. And if I find myself like John, it's all right. Because I spent my life serving God. And so whatever comes my way, I'm ready because I have served God. And He knows that all of me was about Him. I wouldn't go back for nothing. Wherever you stand in need of, you need to give your life to Christ. Come on, we'll baptize you today. If you just need prayer, say, preacher, I gave my life to Christ, but I keep taking it back. I know we all do. I know it. Somebody needs to come down here and say, preacher, I'm ready to really follow God. I've been halfway in and halfway out. I've been twerking on Saturday and praising on Sunday. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Because some of y'all crazy enough to post where you are Saturday night as if we can't see it on Sunday morning. What is wrong with y'all? Don't you know, I can call some of y'all names. I have seen your club pictures on Saturday night. And you have gotten dressed, put on your silver platter, and walked yourself up here on Sunday morning as if you did not just spend all the last night shaking your behind in the club. And I said to myself, do they think we don't see this? You know, we see it, you don't care. But I tell you what, let a bullet ring out in that club. You think you were dropping it low. I'm serious. Do you really want the last thing you do on this earth is to be you bent over? For my fellas, for you to be behind somebody bent over. And that's the last place you find yourself. And you stand before God. I can imagine if God had a projector screen, He put your last image. And you either like this or you like this. Y'all thinking about that thing now, ain't you? Your last thing you were doing. You were shaking your thing. Last thing you were doing was somebody grinding on you. And here's the crazy thing about it. You get married, God can come get you while you're doing it. Y'all ain't talking back. So somebody should have shouted something in this thing. You get married, it don't matter when God come get you. If you're in the act of it, just say, Lord, let me finish. Y'all ain't talking back to me.
Great.
All right.
Because that's pleasing to God. Y'all ain't talking back to me in this thing. I wish I had some brothers in here knew what I was talking about. They'll say, Lord, whatever you come get me, I'll be ready. In about 5 to 10 minutes. Wherever you stand in need of. Wherever you stand in need of. Come on. Come on. Come on. Shalom.